How to trade when you're on vacation. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Guitar Gear Trader. I am Steve, coming at you from not Nashville, but Panama City Beach, Florida. That's right, I'm on vacation. I didn't want to allow my videos not to go out for a week because YouTube's funny like that. So here I am with you in Panama City Beach. If you would, please do me a favor, hit subscribe, hit the like button, comment on the video, let me know what you think. Let me know if I should not be doing this on vacation. Let me know if you do it on vacation. But I can't help myself. You all know that. So follow me here on YouTube. Also follow me on Instagram at Guitar Gear Trader. And I would appreciate that. Today, I want to talk to you about a whole bunch of stuff. Okay, I made a little purchase while I've been down here. I have a trade I'm in the middle of a trade. You might even see a trade go down live on the show. You never know. I've been talking to this gentleman about an hour and a half away from where I am now, and we're trying to work out a deal for that Marshall that I had my last video on, the one with the broken foot switch. So you might see a trade go down as this episode goes on. You might not, who knows, but we'll see. So today I want to talk to you about a purchase that I made. I want to talk to you about, I want to react to a podcast that I watch called Dipped in Tone. You might all know the podcast Dipped in Tone with Rhett Scholl. And I can't remember the other guy's name from Mythos Pedals. It's going to bother me that I can't remember his name because I like him a lot. I like them both a lot. And I love that podcast. I watch it all the time. Every time there's a new episode, I watch it. I love hearing their insights. But I want to react to their most recent episode when they talk about tariffs. So I know that's been a hot issue lately. So I want to give you my 2 cents on that. And I also want to talk about, the last thing I'm going to talk about today is toxic Facebook message boards or group pages for particular things. I want to talk about those because those can be pretty nasty sometimes. And I don't know why, right? I don't know why. People are just nasty for no reason. But let's get into some interesting stuff. So while I'm down here, I'm on vacation/work. Okay, I own a painting business on the side, and one of my neighbors in Tennessee asked me if I would paint her condo down here in Panama City Beach. So I got lucky. I get paid to paint while I stay here for free, right on the beach. It's amazing. I'm very grateful and blessed to have this opportunity. But while I'm here, I got a lot of downtime. Okay, I'm alone for the first half of my trip. My wife's meeting me with the kids on the second half of the trip. So I got a lot of downtime in between painting rooms and stuff like that. So what do? Go right on to Facebook Marketplace, and I, change my location to Panama City Beach, and I try to see what's around. And I gotta say, in the general vicinity, there is almost zilch. Okay, which was a little upsetting, but it's a beach community. It's a place where people are kind of in and out all the time. There aren't a lot of there are locals here, but the majority of the business that goes on down here is probably tourism, and it is spring break, and this is a hot season. But obviously, it's not going to be as a big market for instruments as you would say have in Nashville or New York or Chicago or wherever else, a city that's not based on tourism like this. But there is a lot of stuff in the outskirts around me. So there's Pensacola, there's Tallahassee. All of these things are 2-3 hours away from where I am. But there's also Destin Beach, which is basically where I got this purchase that I'm going to talk to you about. So I'm scrolling through, and I see, and I'm on an amp kick right now. I'm on my amp kick, and I see a place that looks to me like from the pictures to be a storefront. Doesn't look like it's Doesn't look like it's a regular person just selling their gear in their house. It looks like a storefront. There are lots of guitars hanging in the back. It's a really high quality picture. All the pictures are kind of the same format with all the different things that they're selling. And I come across that he has a tremolo verb. Oh, I want to say I think that's incorrect, but it's an orange amp, the tremolo 30, something like that. He wanted like $800 for it. It was a 2x12 amp. I look it up, and it's known for its tremolo. Obviously, it's in the name, right? So why wouldn't it be? Why would that be surprising to anybody? That's not really my thing. Tremolo isn't really my thing. I'm more of like a distorted kind of classic rock kind of guy. So tremolo is not really my thing. So I click on his page to see what else he's selling, and I see that he has on sale a Rocker 15. Okay. And he wants, I want to say he wanted 500 or he wanted 600 for the amp. And it's brand new. And I read in the description that his store closed, his music store closed, and he was trying to get rid of new stock or new old stock that he had in the store just to kind of recoup some money. So I contact him. I'm like, hey, would you take $400 for it? He goes, yeah, absolutely. So I'm like, holy cow. So this is before I even did any research on it, which is not a good thing to do. But it's an orange amp. I'm assuming it's all tubes. I went and then read the description of it, and I went online and looked up all the stuff on the amp. And it's an all tube amplifier. It's a 1x10, 15 watt. That's why it's called the Rocker 15. It also comes in a 32 or a 30 watt amp called the Rocker 32. He didn't have one of those, which is fine because I have the TH30 at home. I'm a big fan of orange amps. And it's a 2-channel amp, which we all know that I love. I prefer 2-channel amps. I don't like 1-channel amps because I'm not a big pedal guy. But you'll see how I contradict myself there in a minute as well. And I looked it up, and brand new, they're selling for like $899. So I was like, wow, I'm going to get this for $400. That's amazing, So it's a really good deal. Even if I don't like it, it's a really good deal. So here it is. Let me give you a look at it. So it's a little guy. It's a tiny little guy. Here's the tag. Tag's still on it. Okay. It's a 1x10, 15 watt. It can be attenuated down to 7 watts with the flip of a switch on the top. It has 2 modes, and this is what was the big seller for me. It has 2 modes, one called headroom and one called bedroom. The headroom one puts the maximum wattage at 15 watts, and when you half it, it gets 7 watts. But if you click it onto the bedroom setting, it lowers the amp down to a 1 watt amp, and then you can half that and make it a half a watt amp. So it makes this like the perfect bedroom amplifier, right? It's the perfect practice in your house kind of amp that's not going to be overpoweringly loud. I have at home 30 and 50 watt amps at home, and those are extremely too loud. Even to just put them on 1 or 2 is too loud to play in the house, especially at night with the kids and the wife sleeping and stuff like that. So I thought that there's going to be functionality here because I don't like using multi-effects pedals, and I don't like using processed, multi-effects things to go into the board to play you guys stuff. I rather have a tube-driven amp that I could mic up and play for you guys on the channel whenever I do reviews on a guitar, or if I do a trade or something like that. I think this will be best suited for my needs there, right? So I didn't just buy this just to have an amp. That's 50%, right? 50% of me bought this because I wanted another amp. 50% of me bought it because there's a functionality to it that I could use in the home for this podcast. I can't wait to see. I don't have any guitars. I have an acoustic guitar with me. I don't have any electric guitars to plug it in and play through it. But I'm really curious to see how this sounds in a rehearsal setting, to see if it's loud enough to play with a drummer. And from what I read and from what I listened to on the YouTube videos, is that there's plenty of volume here. Even though it's a 10-inch speaker, it kind of acts like a 12-inch speaker and gives you that volume that you need. So I have a picture of its tone control here, or its panel rather. Okay, so it's a real simple panel on the top. It's the clean channel is over here where the input jack is, and there's no EQ for that single clean channel. It's just a volume channel, which I love because like I said, I don't know a lot of stuff about amps, and I'm not big on EQs and mid-ranges and boosts and all that kind of stuff. I just go by what I think sounds nice. So the less knobs I have, the better. Even on my pedals, I tend to go for pedals that have as little amounts of knobs as possible. I have one overdrive pedal that has 6 knobs, and that's not so bad that it's 6 knobs, but they're named weird. They have weird names on this pedal. It has like cheese and toast. These are like terms on the pedal, and I don't know what I constantly have to look up what the terms mean so that I can remember them. I should put a piece of tape on them and write down what it means, or give myself a little abbreviation for what it means. But I never remember to do that. And then you have the second channel over here, which has a gain, which is that first large knob on the left here, underneath the O. Then you have your treble, middle, and bass, or bass, middle, and treble. And you have your volume for the dirty channel. You have your clean and dirty channel switch, which is also foot switchable, which I can use my the orange foot pedal I already have that I use on my TH30 and then on my Rocker Verb 50. Here you see the half and the full switch, which you put it on full to get the full 15 watts on headroom, and you put it on half to get the 7 watts on the headroom setting. The headroom / bedroom setting is underneath. This is the only thing I don't like about some of these orange amps, is that a lot of the inputs are underneath in the back over here. The TH30 I have is in the back, but the Rocker Verb is underneath, and this one is underneath as well. Not the biggest fan of that, because when you're like at a gig or something, you kind of have to get on the floor and do that. I'm gonna put a piece of tape over here to show and just put return and send for the effects loop. But there's a little switch here, and that switch is labeled headroom and bedroom. Now it was on bedroom when I got it, and I'm wondering if that's why it didn't sell, because maybe people turned it on and didn't know the switch was there, and they just weren't getting enough oomph out of it in the store. But either way, I got it now. So, and I found the switch, obviously. So if you put it on the bedroom setting, you will get the ability to turn it down to 1 watt or half a watt, depending on what you want. So yeah, those are under here. Not a huge fan, because the plugs have to go up. The reason that they're under there is to make the amp easier to assemble and build in the factory. To put them back here makes it a little bit more difficult to manufacture, from what I understand. All right, that's from what I understand. And it's got a gold label 40 watt orange speaker in there. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. Really, really excited about that. And I was talking to the gentleman who sold it to me about his store, because there was a pedal on there. I wanted to get a second overdrive pedal, and I was like, "Hey man, you got any pedals? Since you're kind of closing up shop, you have anything on there?" So he sends me a list of all the pedals that he had, and there was only one that when I looked it up on YouTube, really seemed to be the one that I'd be interested in. And then I looked it up price wise, and it's crazy expensive. And it's called and maybe you guys know this. I'm not, like I said, I'm not big on the pedals right now, but it's called the Jackson Audio Golden Boy. It's brand new in the box, just like the amp is brand new. And this one is listed for $349, on sale for $319. He gave it to me for $200. Now I could have gotten it used on Reverb for about $160 plus shipping and tax. So I figured $200 wasn't that bad. Plus the guy was a veteran. He was an Air Force veteran. And I just wanted to help him out. I felt really bad that his store closed. He has a beautiful little family, really pretty wife and 2 kids. And the store closed, and he said it was really, really hard to do a mom and pop shop. And it just wasn't working out, and him and his wife just couldn't take it anymore because they weren't doing that hot. And he's a local musician down here, so he met me halfway from where I am. It was about a 30-minute drive, and for $600, I got a brand new orange amp and a brand new Jackson Audio Golden Boy Overdrive pedal, which is really light. I can't believe how light this thing is. A lot of times these amps are really heavy, but this is really light. I'm hoping all this stuff works. I didn't learn my lesson, obviously, from the last video, because I don't have anything to test these things with. But the reviews on this little box are unbelievable. So apparently there are actually presets built into this pedal. And there's a drive and a boost. So you get basically 2 pedals for one, right? You're getting the drive and a boost. You can stack them, obviously. But there are preset drives in here. There are 4 preset drives that emulate different famous amplifiers. So I'm really excited to give that a shot. Okay, and I also know that I said there's too many switches. However, these are simplified, okay? It's volume, boost, gain, and then EQ, right? It's bass, middle, treble, right? I can deal with bass, middle, treble. That's fine. And volume, boost, gain, that's all I need, right? So they're not confusing knobs. They're not toast and cheese and beans, because that's the other pedal I have is called a scran pedal, or a scran pedal, not scran. And it has all these weird terms, cheese and HP and toast and beans. The beans one's the only one I know. Beans is volume. But the other ones, I'm not so sure. But I'm very excited to use this pedal. I want to go through the presets, and you can also, it is MIDI controllable, but I'm not going to mess with that. I'm not messing with MIDI controls anymore. But I am super psyched about that, because I got this because I wanted to have 2 gain or overdrive pedals that I can use when I'm on my clean channel on my amp for both something heavy and for something that is more like a classic rock tone. So if I can use one of the 2 overdrive pedals as like a 70s kind of, on the edge of breakup, kind of like a Tom Petty, Mike Campbell kind of tone, just on the edge of breakup, and then have another one that I can use for, more of like a 90s or 2000s type of alternative music. That would be great, that I don't have to switch them. I don't have to go down and alter the settings on them. I can just have 2 pedals that give me the sounds I want. And that's it. Because I don't want to change the gain that I have on the amp is going to be my normal gain. It's going to be a little bit heavier sounding. It's going to be more for like my AC/DC sounds or my Metallica sounds, or Judas Priest, that kind of stuff that we're playing, or Guns N' Roses, something like that. I want something a little, on the edge of breakup, and I don't want to go changing the settings on the amp in between songs, right? I'd rather just have a pedal for that. So, so very excited about that. Second thing I wanted to talk about was, and I'm just going to briefly talk about this because there's not much really to say, was the whole Tariffs thing. And I know that Rhett and, God, I can't remember the guy's name from Mythos Pedals. They have their podcast called Dipped in Tone, which I am a big fan of. Dipped in Tone. I love both those guys. And I just love, hearing them talk about gear and their opinions on things is really interesting. They don't always agree, which is really cool. And I know that the tariffs that are going to potentially get put in place could potentially have a negative effect on guitar markets. And my advice to them, since I'm pretty sure I'm older than them, I'm definitely older than Rhett. I have to be older than the guy from Mythos Pedals. He just looks older because of that pretty sweet beard he's got. But my advice to them is to not get worried about something that hasn't happened yet. Okay? Now, I give this advice to my friends. I give this advice to my wife. You can't get upset about something that could potentially happen. And especially Rhett. Rhett was very passionate, and he was really fighting back his urge to get political in his podcast, which he did. He did a very good job of fighting, of not getting political in the podcast. He really wanted to, but he didn't. And I'm glad he didn't, because I don't want that stuff in my videos and that I watch in my podcast. I listen to my podcast to get away from all that stuff. So my advice to them would be to wait and see. Calm down, and let's see how it pans out. Also, whoever you think is the bad guy, maybe they are, maybe they aren't, they're not the only player in the whole thing, right? There are, like, if you think businessmen are good people, you think CEOs of giant corporations are good people, and if you think they're telling you the truth all the time about things, you're wrong, okay? If a company says we're going to make this thing 50% more expensive because of potential tariffs, they could be lying to you because they're looking for an excuse to make their product more expensive so that they can make more money. If you can't see that as a potential truth, you have to open your eyes a little bit, right? So if the media is telling you that things are going to get worse, companies are listening to that and saying, well, everyone's expecting it to get worse because of these tariffs. So if we raise the price and blame it on the potential tariffs, we can justify it. And then everybody will blame the person who put the tariffs on it. I'm not saying that's what's happening, but I'm saying it's a possibility of what could be happening, right? Because I'm just going to call him Mythos Pedals. I can't remember his name. What he had mentioned on the podcast was before any of this thing was even a thing, transistors were going up. Parts that he uses to make his pedals went up almost double. And that had nothing to do with the tariffs, because there's no tariff has been put in place yet, right? And from as of today, I don't think any of these tariffs have been put in place yet. And also, another thing, let's say they are, right? Let's say the tariffs are put in place and prices go up, right? Let's say those Mexican Strats or the Mexican Fenders go up, and all the overseas guitars, the Japanese stuff, the Gretches, and I don't know where Ibanez is made, but I'm sure it's overseas, or the Schecters and ESPs and all that stuff, the Epiphone stuff, all that stuff is made overseas. Let's say it all goes up. But what if we get tax breaks that kind of counteract the hike of the things that are going to go up? Maybe that helps, right? Maybe that helps. Maybe, you never know, maybe the tariffs that make things like that go up cause companies to open factories in the United States, thus giving American people jobs, American citizens jobs, which makes the economy go up. I don't know. All I'm saying is, don't judge something don't get mad over something. Don't waste your energy getting upset over something that hasn't happened yet. Okay, wait. You can't do that to yourself. You can't get yourself frustrated and get yourself in a tizzy over something that hasn't necessarily happened, because it could potentially happen. If it happens and it affects your life, get pissed. Get pissed and call somebody and complain and make a video on it and do whatever you got to do. Okay, but until that happens, let's relax on the tariffs. Okay, it could potentially be a negative thing. And if it is, I'll be the first one to say, well, this sucks, because it's impacting everybody. But they talked about the COVID boom a lot in their previous episode, and not for nothing, I don't think that was a good thing, right? The COVID boom was not a good thing. I remember pre-COVID being able to buy a Rickenbacker 620, which is like their little solid body 6-string, you could get one of those for like $1,200. Now people are asking over $2,000 for these things. $2,400 for these things. You're lucky if you get one on Facebook Marketplace for $1,800, $1,900, and that's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And yeah, so calm down on that. Let's see how it pans out. I hear from places that these so-called tariffs are kind of pieces of a chess game, right? He's kind of using them as leverage, before or as a threat, But just hang off on that, and don't get mad at me if you have certain feelings. We're not making this political. I'm not saying who's right and who's wrong. I'm just saying don't get mad over stuff that you can't control, and especially if it hasn't happened yet. So that's my 2 cents on that. Last thing I want to talk about, and this has been bothering me for a long time, and I was going to do a whole episode on it, but I didn't want to have a super negative episode and harp on this, but it happened to me again today. So this happened to me, and what it is I had a very, very bad experience in a Facebook group, guitar group. And today it happened for the second time in a different group over what I think is silly. And I just don't understand why. And it's not all Facebook groups. I had a group a couple weeks ago that was very, very nice. But I don't understand what the deal is with people in Facebook groups. And it's not even just guitar stuff. I own an old Ford, so I joined like a 78 Ford truck group. And I went in there, and this is the first time I ever owned an old truck. I never had a carbureted car before. And I had lots of questions because I want to work on it myself and work on it with my son and learn how to do that kind of stuff. And I go in there and I ask questions, and people just berate you and make fun of you. And in your post, they're just making fun of you and stuff like that. And I just don't understand why people do that or why people are like that. But you're jerks, and you shouldn't do that. And I'm not the type of guy to just sit back and take that. I kind of go right back at people. And I had a lot of fun in a Rickenbacker group. So let me show you this. So I belong to a bunch of Rickenbacker groups because I'm a big fan of the guitars. And you all know that if you watch the videos. And on this group, it's the Rickenbacker Appreciation Society. This group, I have nothing bad to say about the moderators of this group, because they did not take my picture down. But a very common thing in all of these groups, especially in a Rickenbacker group, I think it's more prevalent in a Rickenbacker group than it is in other groups, because these guitars aren't as popular. But whenever you see a Rickenbacker in the wild, we call it, being used by somebody at a concert or on a commercial or in a music video or something like that, people will take pictures, post it on the message on the group board, and say, "Hey, look, I saw a Rickenbacker in nature." Now, again, people don't do that on the Gibson boards. People don't do that on the Stratocaster boards, because everybody's playing those guitars. You very rarely see someone play a Rickenbacker. So it's extremely common for someone to post a picture and say, "Hey, look at this person playing a Rickenbacker. Isn't that cool?" My brother called me up and he says to me, "Hey, Jason Aldean is on TV playing a Rickenbacker." And I said, "No way, that's really cool," because he knows I love Rickenbackers. I wasn't watching the program. He just happened to call me and say, "Hey, Jason Aldean," who, if you don't know, is a country star. And you might be cursing at me right now because I'm talking about Jason Aldean, and whatever. That's part of what I'm talking about. So I look it up on Google. There he is. He's playing a 360. He's playing a black 360. I have the same exact guitar. I got a 1986 black 360, just like he's playing there. And like I said, I'm a big fan of Jason Aldean. I'm a big country music fan. And people might not like his music, and that's fine. That has nothing to do with this. You liking his music has nothing to do with this. And here is my post. Jason Aldean rocking a Rick, yeah, baby. Now, he happened to be playing this at the presidential inauguration recently. I never mentioned, you can see in my post, January 20th, I never mentioned where he was playing it. I never mentioned why he was playing it. I never mentioned the person he was performing for. I never mentioned the presidential election. Nothing. Not a thing. I stayed completely apolitical about this. And to be honest, when my brother called me, I didn't even know where this was happening. I didn't even know this was happening. He just told me Jason Aldean was on TV playing a Rickenbacker. So, as everyone does in these groups, I post this, and I start to get the most vicious comments on this. And let's just take a look at this. Brandon Aglio. Not very small town of him. Now, this is in reference to a song that he has called Try That in a Small Town. One of his most popular songs. People down south love it. Okay? So I write, there's a whole bunch of responses on here. So I write, what? Playing a guitar? I don't understand. I don't understand your comment. I mean, I get you don't like him because you're a Democrat, but where is the clever or funny part of your comment? Like, I don't know what he's saying. Like, how is this clever or smart or funny? I get why he doesn't like him, because he's a polarizing person, but there are lots of people post, if someone posted Bruce Springsteen playing a Rickenbacker, I wouldn't go on and rip the guy apart because he's playing because I don't like Bruce Springsteen. Or that I disagree with Bruce Springsteen. I wouldn't care. I would scroll on, or I would hit like. To be honest, it makes no difference to me about that. I could care less, but not Brandon here, right? So then he writes, small town players don't play Rickenbackers. I don't like him because he sold out. He's supposed to be a small town singer for small town people. I don't even know what that means. He sold out because he's successful? I don't understand that. How did he sell out? Did the Beatles sell out? The Beatles are the most popular band in the history of music. Did they sell out? I don't understand. I don't understand. So all right, so I actually live in the same town as Jason Aldean. I said, sold out? I live in the same small town he lives in. Small town players don't play Rickenbackers? So then he writes, Ricks are only for those big town electric folkies. He should stick to Gibson acoustics and Silvertones like real small town guitarists. And I said, you're absolutely ridiculous. James Freeman says, gross. Looks at the picture and says, gross. A couple of puke emojis. And a screaming seagull. So now I go into troll mode, and I go to another Rickenbacker group that I belong to, and I post the same picture, and I post the same title. I say, Jason Aldean rocking a Rick, yeah, baby. Now I'm now doing this on purpose. Like, you asked for it at this point. And I get even worse comments. Like, these comments aren't that bad compared to what I get in the other group. I can't show you the other group because they blocked me. They kicked me out and they blocked me. And none of my responses were ever negative. You can see my responses there. None of my responses ever degraded or made fun of anybody in the groups. They were calling me a Nazi. They were calling Jason Aldean a Nazi. And then someone said, get this guy the hell out of here. He didn't say he said, get this guy the F out of here, meaning me. He's like, this guy's putting this picture on all the groups. And I to be honest, I was trolling a little bit at this point. But I never made it, even in my responses, I never made it political. And they ended up kicking me out. They ended up blocking me and kicking me out of the group. And I went to the rules of the group, and I didn't do anything against the rules. I never made a political comment. I just said, Jason Aldean rocking a Rick, yeah, baby. And in every one of my responses, I never once got political in my comments. I just said, I kept saying, I don't understand why everyone is so mad. It's just a Rickenbacker. Don't we like Rickenbackers? I kept saying that over and over again. And one guy told me to read the room. And I knew what I was doing. I was doing it on purpose at this point. But I just kept reiterating, like, I'm just all I'm doing is posting a guitar, a picture of a guy playing a guitar that we love. And we should be happy that this guy is playing this guitar on stage because Rickenbacker's not a very big company. And if you want the company to succeed, you want famous people to play them so that other famous people play them. And that leaks down and trickles down into the rest of the community. And maybe they'll have more sales, and maybe they'll grow as a company, and maybe they'll be in, who knows? I don't know. Why is this a bad thing? Right? So that was one experience. And I was going to do a whole episode on that. And I was going to title it, Jason Aldean Got Me Kicked Out of Facebook Group, but I didn't. And then the other day, yesterday, something happened to me as well. And what happened to me the other day was, what I've started doing is I started to, whatever topic that I post a video on, I go to the groups of that particular brand that I belong to. And if I don't belong to any, I join some, and I post my videos in the groups. I did this last week with the Fender Stratocaster video I made on that the Sonic Blue Strat that I made. And I joined a couple of Fender Strat groups, and I didn't belong to them yet because I didn't own any Fender Strats. So they let me in, and I put a post. I'm like, hey, I just got this guitar. I really like it. I made a video of it. If you want to watch it. It would help me out. If not, no big deal. And if this isn't allowed, please take it down. I got such great responses from the Fender people in the Fender group. Thank you to everyone in the Fender groups who was kind and nice and watched the video and made comments and subscribed to the channel. It was one of my better performing videos. My videos don't get a lot of views, but it was one of my better performing videos. So thank you to everybody there. So I did the same thing for my video last week on the Marshall amp that I bought. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I will link this in the description. But I bought a Marshall from a guy on Facebook Marketplace, and the guy kind of ripped me off. He lied to me and misled me about the functionality of the amp. And when I got home, I found out that a very integral part of the amp was the foot switch. The foot switch wasn't working, and you can't buy this foot switch anymore because this amp is discontinued. I tried other ways to work around the foot switch not working. I tried using MIDI cables instead of the cable that they gave me. That didn't work. I tried to troubleshoot, and that didn't work. My only other option is to bring it in for to get fixed, or resell it, being honest with the next buyer that the foot switch doesn't work. So what I do, I go on to Facebook and I join a couple of Marshall pages, and you can see what I posted right here. Please delete if not allowed, but I could use some advice. I'm going to this group for two reasons. Number one, do I want clicks? Yes, I do want clicks. I have a YouTube channel. I'm making videos on things. I want clicks. I started joining these groups and putting my videos in there to broaden my viewer base. I don't think that's a sin. That's number one. Okay? But I also do want some advice. And I figured if they knew the whole story, they could watch the video, know the whole story, and understand what my problem is. Okay? Twofold, I need some advice. I do want some clicks. Okay? I bought a broken JVM, would love some help. Foot switch doesn't work. I made a YouTube video about it. It's linked below. That's a pretty harmless post, right? I would think it's a pretty harmless post. Well, let's take a look at how harmless the comments are. Eric Cicero, dude, get the F out. My response, all due respect, F you. Jake Connor, if he didn't rip you off, you wouldn't have gotten to make money off this dumb video. Okay? I don't make any money off these dumb videos, Jake, because I don't have the numbers to do so. I'm legitimately looking for some advice. And if you want to watch the video, you'd help me out. The foot switch, Christopher Bell, the foot switch, who cares? It's like thinking you got ripped off buying a car because the battery was dead. Fix it or replace it. The amp is the most important part. Now, I bought this amp to use in a live situation. I didn't buy the amp to sit in my room and play it. If I bought the amp to sit in my room and play it, I would sit there and hit the button with my finger. But I bought it because I want to use it live, and I want to be able to switch channels while I'm playing live. Obviously, these people didn't watch the video, and they don't understand why I'm asking this question. Manuel Suarez. It seems you're looking for subscribers more than help. Okay, I'm looking for both. Why can't I look for both, Manuel? Hans Bolton. Sorry, but you post will not be received well by the serious amp techs here. Foot switch are simple and easy to come by. Just go buy one. Again, they didn't watch the video, so they don't know the foot switch issue that I have. These foot switches aren't readily available. Plus, I already tried to test it out with a MIDI, and it didn't respond to the MIDI controller. So I'm thinking it's more than the foot switch, but they didn't watch the video, and they didn't ask me any questions. They don't have to watch the video. They could have wrote in the thing here, what are the symptoms? Does this work? Does that work? Did you try this? Okay. Then Adam says, use MIDI like a big boy. Okay. Ed, I got a box full of foot switches. I bought an amp with a broken foot switch, grabbed one out of the box, accumulated over the years, found some on stages when the last band played a week before, blah, 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 blah. Why do you have a box of foot switches, Ed? I would assume a lot of people don't have a box of foot switches, okay? I have an orange amp foot switch for my orange amp, which, guess what, Ed? I tried. Didn't work. I also have a foot switch for my DSL 40, my Marshall. Guess what, Ed? I tried that too. Didn't work. Maybe I'm not as dumb as you think, Ed. Or maybe I am. Who knows? Kevin, fix it. Foot switches are insanely simple. If for some reason it's the PCB, replace it. Okay, two things. Fix it. That's your genius. That's your genius advice to me, Kevin. Fix it. If I could fix it, I would have fixed it, Kevin. Do you have any other advice you want to give to me? If for some reason it's what's a PCB? I'm assuming control board is the CB part of it. I don't know what the P stands. I don't know what PCB is, Kevin. Okay, I'm not an amp tech, Kevin. Greg Clark. This is the only thing that I actually responded to that I can't argue with. Your own fault for not testing the gear before you bought it. And which you would have heard me say that exact thing if, Greg Clark, you would have watched the video. Because at the end I said, lesson learned, I should have tested this or found a way to test this prior to buying it. So none of yous watched the video, but all of yous wanted to give me, oh, and this guy, Jack Rainwater, pimping for clicks. Pimping for clicks. Every YouTuber on earth is pimping for clicks. Whatever YouTuber you're clicking on is pimping for clicks. Hate to tell all you guys that, but you fall for it every day when you're clicking on people's videos. Okay? I don't know where my comment here is, but I responded. It looks like they took my comment down. Or was it this one? No. My comment was long and it looks like they took down my comment. That's lame too. Because my comment to them was, you're all a bunch of bitches who none of yous have given me any advice. You're all tough guys, but no one ever said, here's how you might fix it. I can't believe they took my own comment down. That's great. Thanks. Appreciate it. But I digress. I wanted to get that off my chest. So if you're in this group here, whatever group this is, let's see if I can find the group that it's in. Here, this group, Marshall Amplification Owners Old and New. These were the people who were giving me shit. Now this happens a lot. And it's a real shame because these message boards aren't supposed to be like that, right? These message boards are supposed to be for communities that want to help each other out, right? And it never fails because I gotten into arguments with people on these boards, especially the Rickenbacker boards. The Rickenbacker boards are full of very interesting people. But it never fails that I get personal messages, direct messages from people in these groups that are viewing this and watching this stuff happen real time, that text me or email me or message me through Facebook and say, thank you for sticking up for yourself. Thank you for not letting these guys push you around. These guys think they're know-it-alls. These guys are jerks. I don't know what their problems is. Everyone thinks they're know-it-alls, blah, 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 blah. It never fails. I always get people that don't get involved because they're too scared, or probably, most likely, they got involved once before and they got yelled at by these people and didn't know what to do. Right? I'm not going to sit there and take your crap. Throw me off the message board. I don't care. Think I give a crap about your stupid Facebook message board? I don't. Okay? Fix it. Thanks. You're a genius. Oh, I wish I would have thought of that. Fix it. Oh, man. Fix it. Get the hell out of here. This is a different side of me. Sorry you're seeing this side of me. I'm usually not like that. Usually I'm very positive and whatever, but wanted to get that off my chest. So, thank you very much. Hopefully I got another trade going. Someone might be trading me some more orange equipment for that Marshall JVM with the broken foot switch. We'll see. He hasn't gotten back to me tonight. I was hoping he would, but he hasn't gotten me back tonight. That would have been cool for the podcast if he did, but he hasn't. So until next time, I'm Steve. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, hit the bell, leave a comment. Find me on Instagram at Guitar Gear Trader, and I will see you next time. Have a good night.